I've heard it explained is by Chris Williamson as well. This idea of motivation versus discipline versus obsession. So we all know motivation is, I just feel like doing this thing, I'm going to do it, right? Discipline is I'm going to do the things I told myself I was going to do. And this way it gets a bit tricky. It works for some people, it doesn't work for other people. And I think this is where there's a missing link, right? Because you're somebody who's on self-improvement and you're dealing with this problem we've been speaking about for the last 10 minutes, where it's like, I know what I need to be doing. I know what to do, but I just don't do it. When you hear somebody saying, just do it, it's not particularly helpful. I remember listening to this Jocko Willink podcast, and I mean, I like Jocko Willink. I like listening to his stuff, but I think actually since I heard him say that, I stopped listening to him. He's this. If you don't know who he is, he's this like military guy. He's got I think he's got a book called, if I can just remember the name, Discipline, something about discipline. Discipline equals freedom. That is his thing, and it's great. It's nice. But I remember there was a podcast where I was listening. I was struggling with this thing. Been struggling with this thing for a while. Where it's like I know what I need to be doing, but I don't do it. Romans 7, and he said something along the lines of, like, just do it. And in my head, I was just like, oh my gosh, this is infuriating. It's like, do you not think I have not tried that? And I get where it's coming from. It is a mental thing, and that's why it works for some people, but doesn't work for other people. This thing of like, I'm just somebody who does what I don't feel like doing. But I feel like that works for a very small subset of people. And I think this is where the missing link is as well with these people who push forward this just do it kind of thing, right? Is there's a big difference between somebody who doesn't want to do something, or somebody who's just not particularly inclined to doing something, versus somebody who actually really likes doing something and maybe they're just struggling with momentary indiscipline. So say, for example, this advice would work perfectly for somebody who's like, man, I want to be a professional footballer. And I'm very consistent. Like, I train every single day. I rest on Sundays, whatever the case is. I eat clean, yada, yada, yada. And there's a particular week where they're just not feeling as good about it. Like, they're not excited to get out of bed. And that advice would work. It's like, man, you don't feel like doing it, just do it, man. And then they get through that slump and then they carry on doing it. But they miss the part where that person is already inclined to doing that. And that's where this third part comes, where it's obsession, right? People love talking about motivation versus discipline, and it's cool discussion. But I think obsession is the part that's missing, and that's where a lot of us, normal people, let's say, have that missing link. Those of us who live Romans 7, I do the things I don't want to do, and I don't do the things that I want to do. That link is kind of just that obsession. It's like the foundation. We're worrying all about motivation and discipline and all this stuff, right? It's a bit difficult for you to be disciplined and just do it when, you can't even get off the ground. You don't have enough escape velocity to just get up, right? These people have an obsession. That's the third part of it, an obsession. So now motivation and discipline is where the push mechanism comes, right? Where it's like, cool, discipline is I'm pushing, like I'm physically using willpower to like carry on doing this thing, to get myself to do this thing. Like, it takes a bunch of energy for me to get out of bed on a Monday morning to go hit the gym, right? And then motivation is, oh man, there's this guy who's just been really inspired going on this trip or whatever, and it's like, I want to get in shape. And then they start doing it. They go Monday, they go Tuesday, Wednesday, and then maybe they go for a week, maybe they go for 2 weeks or whatever. Then winter comes, and one morning it's just, that bed is just really nice and to struggle to get out, and they just don't get out of bed, right? Because the motivation isn't there. That's a bit of a pull mechanism, but it's weak in its essence. Obsession is what you should be looking at. Obsession is what drives somebody to work so relentlessly hard towards something for years, decades, to build something incredible, which I think you watching this video, you want that. Right? We want to be those people that are disciplined, those people that are obsessed, right? I think we need to think about that whenever we speak about discipline, is that there needs to be this this obsession towards something. Like, the best thing I heard that actually really got this this concept kind of ingrained in my head. I kind of always suspected it, but I heard somebody say, they were defining grit, and they were saying grit is directly correlated to your, they didn't say the word obsession, but basically your affinity towards a specific thing. So let me use an example, like Cristiano Ronaldo, right? He's somebody who's always been put as like the picture of discipline in football. And I remember hearing a story about him when he was a kid. I think he was a teenager. Something, I don't know, something happened at school. He chucked the chair at the teacher or something, and then he quit. And it's like, this guy that is known for like not quitting, for being disciplined, why couldn't he be disciplined in school? And I always thought about it because I'm like, man, we look at these people that are disciplined. You look at a Cristiano Ronaldo or a Michael Jordan or a Tiger Woods or whoever it is, these people that have just, flipped, they've escaped the stratosphere. And you're like, man, that person can, if they have that mentality in this thing, they can do it anywhere else. And I mean, I think from what I've heard, the research doesn't suggest so. The research actually suggests, people's grit is determined, it's different based on what arena they are applying that discipline in. Let's say, like, you'd be more disciplined doing something you like versus something you don't like. And this takes me to a quote I've heard from Chris Williamson as well, where he always speaks about people who are like kind of stuck in jobs they don't like or whatever it is. And they say, man, if you're succeeding in a job you hate, imagine how much more you'd be succeeding in a job you like, right? And this is good news, I think, for all of us, because that means we all have some kind of capacity to do something. We have different capacities to do different things, but everyone has some kind of talent. And I know it sounds like some cliche thing your mom would tell you, but it's true. We have very different capacities to do different things, and our aim should be at finding what's that thing that we love. I was reading something, actually, it was on Reddit a few weeks ago, and somebody was talking about how, imagine how much better society would be if people were enabled to do the things they love. And somebody made a comment, they were like, dude, I know this guy who, in his free time, he just loves to go at different blocks and fix all the burst water pipes. I'm like, actually, that's a very interesting concept. Because I do not care about pipes and like construction and all that stuff, right? And you can find a lot of people who don't, but there are other people who do. And then there are people who love content creation, the people who love sports, the people who love art, the people who love freaking sitting at a desk and doing Excel spreadsheets. There are people who love different things. And it's like, cool. I mean, from a societal perspective, it would be great if everyone can just be put in their particular domain, because automatically, that level of performance just rises. I think all of us forget the fact that, we're happier and, less stressed and all this stuff. We're just doing things we like, and we're more likely to do those things better. And I think as a society, I mean, that would be great, right? But forget society. We're not fixing society top down, right? I mean, the only way you can kind of really fix it is bottom up, from like the individual. And if you're like me, I mean, cool, I care about society, but honestly, my big thing is where I'm at and where I want to, the kind of life I want to live. And you can apply the same thing to yourself. You find that thing. What's your version of going around to different blocks and finding all the burst pipes and just fixing them? That's the thing you need to figure out. And that's where this obsession thing comes in, where it's like, obsession will take you so far. It will drag you, right? It's a pull. You're not pushing. You're actually getting pulled by it. It's taking, you can't stop. You're trying not to get yourself to do it. And that's I put it, I mean, Chris Williamson will put it a lot more eloquently than I can, right? He was saying, the gym example, motivation is, I want to wake up and go to the gym today. I don't feel like going to the gym tomorrow. Discipline is, I don't really feel like going to the gym today, but I'm going to go anyways. And obsession is, I can't not go to the gym. Now, imagine if that's your disposition towards a particular discipline. And I mean discipline in terms of like, the things you do. Imagine if that's your state of mind towards something. I can't not do this thing. Dude, forget 10,000 hours, man. Like, you're going to fly through that. You're going to get really good at whatever it is you really put your mind to.